My fiancé said, "I can't marry you. I'm in love with my ex." I replied, "Message received." Then I canceled everything, sold the house, and moved states a month later. Her passionate ex dumped her, and I just smiled. Hey Reddit, 2 weeks before my wedding, my fiancé dropped a bomb that basically nuked our entire life together. She said she couldn't marry me because she was in love with her ex. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I just said message received and walked away. Then I methodically dismantled everything we'd built, sold our house, and moved to another state. A month later, her passionate ex dumped her hard, and she spiraled into complete chaos. A year after that, she tried to crawl back. Here's how it all went down. Let me set the scene properly, because context matters here. I'm 31, work as an architect for a mid-sized firm that specializes in sustainable commercial buildings. Decent salary, good benefits, the kind of stable career my parents always hoped I'd have. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable, own my car outright, have a solid 401k, and manage to save enough for a down payment on a house without going into crippling debt. Met Vanessa 3 years ago at a friend's housewarming party. She worked in event planning, which explained her obsessive attention to detail about literally everything. First date was at this Italian place downtown, where she spent 20 minutes explaining the difference between various pasta shapes and which sauces paired best with each. Most guys would have found it annoying. I thought it was charming. Shows you how wrong first impressions can be. The first year was good, really good. We did the usual relationship progression: exclusive after 2 months, first vacation together at 6 months, moved in together after a year. Her apartment lease was ending, and my place had an extra bedroom I was using for storage, so it made financial sense. That should have been my first red flag, making a relationship decision based on financial sense rather than actual emotion. But I was 28 and thought I was being a practical adult. We split everything 50-50. Rent, utilities, groceries, even the streaming services. Vanessa appreciated that I wasn't one of those guys who expected her to do all the cooking and cleaning just because she was a woman. I appreciated that she wasn't one of those women who expected me to pay for everything just because I was a man. It felt like a partnership. Equals. Or so I thought. Year 2, I proposed. Did the whole traditional thing. Asked her father's permission first, which he gave with this weird look I couldn't quite read at the time. Planned a whole elaborate proposal at this botanical garden she loved. Hired a photographer to capture the moment. Got down on one knee in front of the koi pond. She cried, said yes, posted 17 photos to social media within an hour. Her mother, Patricia, called me that night to say how relieved she was that Vanessa was finally settling down. The word settling should have bothered me more than it did. The engagement period was when the cracks started showing, but I was too busy with work and wedding planning to notice. Or maybe I noticed and ignored them because I'd already committed, already bought the ring, already told everyone we were getting married. Sunk cost fallacy isn't just an economic principle. It's a relationship killer. Vanessa started spending more time with her college friends, particularly this group of women who all seemed to be either divorced or perpetually single. They'd have these wine nights where they'd sit around complaining about men, and Vanessa would come home afterward with this look on her face like she'd just been deprogrammed by a cult. She'd ask weird questions like, "Do you think people can be truly happy in marriage?" Or, "What if we're making a mistake?" I'd reassure her, think it was normal pre-wedding anxiety, and we'd move on. Then 6 months ago, we bought the house together. That was the big one. The real adult commitment that scared me more than the actual wedding. A 30-year mortgage is a lot more permanent than a marriage these days. But Vanessa was insistent. She'd been looking at properties for months, sending me listings, talking about neighborhoods and school districts, even though we didn't have kids yet. The house we bought was a 3-bedroom craftsman style in a decent neighborhood, about 15 minutes from my office. It needed work. The kitchen was straight out of 1987, the bathrooms needed updating, and the back deck was rotting in places, but it had good bones and was within our budget. We put down 20% to avoid PMI, split evenly between us. Both our names on the deed, both our names on the mortgage. Legally and financially entangled in a way that would be a nightmare to untangle. But that was the point, right? Commitment. Building a life together. All that stuff they tell you relationships are supposed to be. We spent weekends at Home Depot, picking out paint colors and cabinet hardware and light fixtures. Vanessa had opinions about everything. Strong opinions. The kind where if I suggested something she didn't like, she'd get this tight look on her face and say, "Well, if that's what you want," in a tone that clearly communicated it was not what she wanted, and I was an idiot for suggesting it. But there were good moments too. Painting the bedroom together on a Saturday, getting more paint on each other than on the walls. Grilling in the backyard for the first time, even though the deck was sketchy, and I was half convinced we'd fall through lying on the living room floor after moving in all our furniture. Exhausted, but satisfied. Those moments felt real. They felt like building something solid. The place cards arrived on a Tuesday afternoon in late September. I remember because the afternoon sun was streaming through the bay window of the house we'd bought together 6 months earlier, hitting the hardwood floors at just the right angle. Those floors had been one of the selling points. Original oak from 1924, refinished to a perfect honey gold. I'd just finished assembling the final ridiculously complex bookshelf for our shared library, a project I'd been putting off for weeks because the instructions were in 3 languages, none of them particularly helpful. The scent of fresh pine and coffee hung in the air, mixing with the faint smell of paint from the guest bedroom I'd finished touching up that morning. It was one of those perfect, peaceful moments you mentally bookmark as a happy memory, the kind you think you'll look back on when you're old. Vanessa was at the dining table surrounded by wedding planning materials. 3 massive binders, each color-coded by category: venue, catering, decorations. Fabric swatches in various shades of cream and gold were pinned to a board she'd set up. A scattered rainbow of place cards covered every available surface, organized in some system that made sense only to her. She was meticulously writing out names in her elegant, looping cursive, the one thing she always said her mother ever taught her that was actually beautiful. Each card probably took her 5 minutes to complete, but she insisted on doing them by hand because printed labels were tacky. "Look at this, Blake," she said, holding up a card. "Mr. and Mrs. Henderson. It looks so official." I walked over, wiping sawdust from my hands onto my jeans, and kissed the top of her head. Her hair smelled like her shampoo, coconut and vanilla. "It is official," I said. 2 weeks. We're almost there." She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. I'd noticed that a lot lately. A distant look. A preoccupation I'd chalked up to pre-wedding jitters. I'm an architect. I understand stress. I figured it was just the pressure of finalizing 100 different details before the big day. "I was thinking," she said, her voice a little too light, "maybe we should have a separate kids' table after all. My cousin's twins are pretty energetic." "Whatever you think is best, honey. You're the CEO of Operation I Do." I went to make us more coffee. This was our life. The comfortable silences, the shared projects, the gentle teasing. We'd built this. The house, the future, the U.S. For 3 years, it had felt like the most solid construction of my life, more permanent than any building I'd ever designed. That night, the solidity turned to sand. I was in bed reading a novel on my tablet when she came in. She'd been quiet all evening, claiming a headache. She didn't get ready for bed. Instead, she sat on the edge of the mattress, her back to me. The weight of her body made the springs creak. "Blake?" Her voice was small and tight. "We need to talk." I put the tablet down. My heart did a little stutter step, the kind it does when you sense a sudden drop on a roller coaster you didn't know you were on. "Okay, what's up? Is it the venue coordinator again? Do I need to go down there?" "It's not the venue." She took a sharp, ragged breath. "It's everything." I sat up, leaning against the headboard. "What do you mean, everything? Talk to me." She turned then, and in the dim light from my tablet, I saw her face streaked with tears. My first instinct was to reach for her, to comfort her. I stopped myself. There was a wall there, invisible, but palpable. "I can't do this," she whispered. The words hit me like a physical blow. "I'm so sorry, Blake. I can't marry you." The world didn't shatter. It just stopped. The hum of the refrigerator faded. The clock on the nightstand went silent. There was only the sound of my own blood pounding in my ears. "What are you talking about?" My voice was eerily calm. "Is this cold feet? Because that's normal, Vanessa. Everyone says that's normal." She shook her head, tears falling faster now. "It's not cold feet. It's my heart. It's not in it. It's not in it," I repeated, the phrase feeling alien and stupid on my tongue. "We bought a house together. We have joint insurance. We're getting married in 14 days. Your heart has seemed pretty in it for the last 3 years." "I know," she cried, her voice rising in pitch. "I thought it was. I thought I was over him. I really did. But every time I look at these place cards, every time I taste the cake samples, every time I pick out a song for the first dance, I don't think of you and me. I think of him." The air left my lungs. Him. There was only one him that carried that weight. "Tyler?" I said, the name a curse in the quiet room. "The ex-boyfriend from before me? The one with the motorcycle and the reckless smile. The one who'd broken her heart and whose ghost I'd spent years patiently exorcising." She nodded, a fresh wave of sobs racking her body. She was the picture of misery, but all I could feel was a cold, spreading numbness. He reached out a few months ago, she said. Just to talk, he said. And we started talking, and it all just came flooding back. The passion, the intensity. It was never like that with us, Blake. What we have is comfortable, it's safe. But with him, I feel alive. Each word was a precise surgical cut. So, I said, my voice still flat, devoid of the rage that should have been there. Let me get this straight for the past 4 months. While we've been planning our wedding, booking a venue, sending out invitations, buying a house, you've been emotionally involved with your ex-boyfriend. It wasn't like that, she insisted. The classic refrain of the caught, it just happened. I never meant to hurt you. I'm just so confused. I can't marry you when I'm in love with someone else. It wouldn't be fair to you. The hypocrisy was so vast, so breathtaking, that I almost laughed. The unfairness was the foundation of this entire conversation. I looked around our bedroom, at the photo of us in Costa Rica on the dresser, at the closet where her clothes hung next to mine, at the stack of wedding binders visible through the doorway. It all looked like a stage set now, a flimsy fabrication. The man I was 2 minutes ago would have begged. He would have listed all our happy memories. He would have promised to be more passionate, less safe. He would have fought for her. But that man was gone, dismantled by 6 sentences. I looked at her, at this woman who was crying because she was the one breaking her own heart by betraying me. I saw the entire pathetic narrative she'd built for herself, the tragic heroine torn between safe, reliable Blake and passionate, exciting Tyler. And I was done being a character in her story. I swung my legs out of bed and stood up. I felt incredibly calm, the kind of calm that comes after a diagnosis, when the worst has been confirmed and all that's left is the treatment. Okay, I said. She stared at me, her sobs hiccuping to a stop. Okay? What does that mean? It means I understand, I said, walking toward the door. You're in love with Tyler. You can't marry me. Message received. Blake, wait. She scrambled off the bed. Aren't you going to say anything else? Aren't you angry? Yell at me or something. I paused at the doorway, my hand on the frame. I looked back at her, at the stunned confusion on her tear-stained face. She had expected drama. She had expected a scene worthy of her grand tragic dilemma. I gave her nothing. What would you like me to say, Vanessa? You've been very clear. You think what we built is comfortable? You think he makes you feel alive? I'm not going to beg you to see value in a life you've already decided to throw away. I turned and walked down the hall toward the spare room, the floor cool beneath my feet. Behind me, I heard a choked cry. I didn't look back. The first phase was over. The demolition had begun. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't if I'd wanted to. My brain had shifted into pure analytical mode. The same mode I use when a building design isn't working, and I need to tear it down to the studs and start over. I sat in the spare room, my laptop open, and started making lists. That's what I do when a structure needs to come down. I plan the sequence carefully. Remove the wrong support beam first, and the whole thing collapses on top of you. Remove them in the right order, and you walk away clean. First list, wedding vendors to cancel. I opened the shared planning folder Vanessa had meticulously organized over the past 8 months. Every vendor, every contract, every deposit payment, all laid out in color-coded spreadsheets. The woman was nothing if not organized. The irony of using her organizational system to dismantle our wedding wasn't lost on me. Venue. The historic gardens, $8,000 deposit, $12,000 remaining balance due, 2 weeks before the wedding. I'd be losing that $8,000, but better to lose money than lose my mind. Caterer. Gourmet affairs, $3,200 deposit for a menu. Vanessa had spent 3 tasting sessions perfecting. She'd insisted on having both past appetizers during cocktail hour and a 3-course plated dinner. Our wedding guests deserve a real meal, not some cash bar with chicken fingers, she'd said. Well, our wedding guests were about to deserve nothing, because there wasn't going to be a wedding. Photographer. Some guy named Jonathan who charged $2,800 for 8 hours, and 2 photographers Vanessa had his work all over a Pinterest board. Candid shots, artistic angles, black and white portraits. All of it was about to be worthless florist. $1,400 for centerpieces, bouquets, and ceremony arrangements. Vanessa had drawn diagrams of exactly how she wanted each table to look: peonies and garden roses in blush and cream. The kind of details that had seemed sweet when we were planning together and now just seemed like a colossal waste of money. DJ. $800 for someone to play music and make announcements. We'd given him a do not play list that was longer than our must play list. No Cupid shuffle, no cha-cha slide, definitely no Macarena. Vanessa had strong feelings about maintaining dignity at wedding receptions. Baker, $650 for a 3-tier vanilla cake with raspberry filling and buttercream frosting. We'd done the tasting on a random Tuesday afternoon, feeding each other samples while the baker watched. It had felt romantic at the time. Now it just felt stupid. Total vendor deposits at risk, $16,850. The cost of an education in trusting the wrong person. Second list, financial entanglements to sever. This one was trickier because money was involved and money makes everything complicated. Joint checking account. We'd opened it after moving in together, both putting in equal amounts each month for shared expenses. Current balance, $4,200. Half was mine, half was hers. I'd transfer my half out first thing in the morning. Shared credit card, the one we used for house stuff and groceries. Balance, $3,100. We'd been planning to pay it off after the wedding with gift money. That wasn't happening now. I pulled up the statement to see who charged what roughly 50-50. Fine. I'd pay my half and remove myself as an authorized user. Utilities, electric, gas, water, internet, all in both names. I'd need to either transfer them solely into my name or cancel them entirely depending on what happened with the house. Streaming services, Netflix under my email, Hulu under hers, HBO sharing my brother's password. The small, stupid things that couples share and that become annoyingly complicated when you split up. Third list, the house. This was the big one. The mountain I'd have to move before I could leave this city with a clean conscience. We'd bought the place 6 months ago for $425,000. Put down $85,000 combined, $42,500 each. The mortgage was $340,000, split equally. In 6 months, we'd paid maybe $8,000 in principal between us. So the equity split would be roughly down payment plus principal minus selling costs, divided by 2. But here's the thing about selling a house quickly. You lose money. Realtor fees alone are 5 to 6% of the sale price. Then there are closing costs, title insurance, inspections, all the garbage that eats into your profit. If I was lucky, I'd break even on my down payment. If I wasn't lucky, I'd take a loss. But I couldn't stay in this house. Every room had memories now poisoned by tonight's conversation. The bedroom where she'd confessed. The kitchen where we'd planned our future. The living room where we'd argued about paint colors. The backyard where I'd imagined someday teaching my kids to grill. All of it was contaminated now. I could buy her out, offer her some amount for her half, and keep the house myself. But did I want to? Did I want to wake up every morning in the bed we'd shared? Did I want to sit on the couch where she'd spent hours on her phone texting Tyler? Did I want constant reminders of the life I'd thought I was building? Number 1, I wanted a clean break. Sell the house, split whatever equity we'd built, walk away. Let someone else make new memories here. Fourth list, the actual logistics of leaving. Because that's what I was going to do. Leave. Not just the house, not just the relationship, but the entire city. That position in Denver, the one I'd turned down 8 months ago because Vanessa's career was here, her family was here, and moving seemed impossible when we were planning a wedding. The firm had been really understanding, said to keep in touch. Maybe something would open up down the road. Down the road was now. I'd email them first thing in the morning, worst case. They'd say no, and I'd find something else. Best case, I'd be in Colorado in a month, 2,000 miles away from all of this. By dawn, I had a plan. 3 pages of notes, 7 spreadsheets, a timeline that went from now to moved and settled in new city. In 6 weeks if everything went perfectly. 8 weeks. If there were complications, Vanessa found me at 6 a.m., still at the desk, eyes burning from staring at screens all night, but with more clarity than I'd had in months. Did you sleep at all? Her voice was small. No, but I've been productive. I turned the laptop screen toward her. Here's what's going to happen. I'm canceling the wedding. All of it today. Her face went pale. Blake, don't you think we should talk about this more? Maybe take some time? You took 4 months of time while lying to me. I'm good. My voice was flat. The deposits are non-refundable. I'll eat those costs. Consider it my wedding gift to you and Tyler. She flinched at his name. The house is more complicated, I continued. We're both on the deed, both on the mortgage, but I'm going to buy you out. Today. Today? She looked stunned. That's not possible. We'd need an appraisal. We'd need lawyers. I called a real estate attorney at midnight. He's meeting us at his office at 9 a.m. I'm prepared to offer you $10,000 over half the equity. That's generous considering the circumstances. Where am I supposed to go? The question hung in the air. Where was she supposed to go? Maybe Tyler's place. Maybe back to her mother's house. Honestly, I didn't care anymore. That's not my problem to solve, I said, closing the laptop. You made your choice. Now you get to live with the consequences. The meeting with the attorney was efficient. Vanessa was still in shock, I think. She signed everything I put in front of her. By noon, I'd written her a check for $62,000. By 1 p.m., her name was off the deed. She moved out that weekend, went to stay with her mother, Patricia, which I'm sure went over great. Patricia had never liked me anyway, thought her daughter was settling by marrying an architect instead of a doctor or lawyer. Well, now Vanessa could pursue her passion with Tyler the motorcycle enthusiast. I'm sure Patricia would be thrilled. The wedding cancellations took 2 days. Each call was a small knife wound. Hi, this is Blake Morrison. I need to cancel my wedding for October 14th. Pause. Sympathy. Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. Is everything okay? No, but it will be. What's the cancellation policy? Venue, $5,000 deposit gone. Caterer, $3,200 gone. Photographer, $1,800 gone. Florist, $900 gone. DJ, $600 gone. Cake, $400 gone. $11,900 in total losses. The most expensive education I'd ever received. But I wasn't done yet. The biggest move was still coming. I'd been offered a position at a firm in Denver 6 months earlier, a dream job leading their sustainable design division. I'd turned it down because Vanessa's career was here, her family was here, and I thought we were building our life here. I called them back. Is that position still available? Actually, yes. We haven't found the right candidate yet. Are you interested? Very. When can I start? How soon can you be here? 2 weeks. I listed the house on the market that same day, priced it aggressively to move fast. Had 3 offers within 4 days, accepted 1 within a week, closed in 2 weeks. The universe was cooperating with my exit strategy. My friends thought I was losing my mind. Dude, you're moving to Colorado? Just like that? My best friend Kevin said over coffee. That seems extreme. Staying here seems more extreme, I replied. Everywhere I go, I'd see her. Our coffee shop, our grocery store, our park. I'd run into her friends, her family. The ghost of our relationship would haunt me. Why would I choose to live in a haunted house? He didn't have a response to that. I donated or sold most of our shared furniture, packed my essentials, my books, my drafting equipment, put everything in a moving truck, left the house keys with the real estate agent. 3 weeks after Vanessa said she couldn't marry me, I was gone. Colorado was exactly what I needed. The firm was incredible. Cutting-edge projects with a focus on LEED certification and net zero buildings. Brilliant colleagues who actually cared about sustainable design. A city that felt alive and new in ways my old hometown never had. The energy was different here. People were outdoorsy, active, optimistic about the future rather than stuck in the past. I bought a small condo in Capitol Hill with floor-to-ceiling windows and mountain views that made me catch my breath every morning. The place was maybe 900 square feet, just 1 bedroom, but it was mine. No shared memories contaminating the space. No ghosts lurking in the corners. Every piece of furniture was new, chosen by me alone, arranged however I wanted without having to negotiate or compromise. The first few weeks were intensely lonely. I won't lie, I'd wake up and reach for someone who wasn't there anymore. I'd start to tell Vanessa about my day before remembering she wasn't part of my life anymore. But slowly, gradually, those instincts faded. The muscle memory of being in a relationship weakened and eventually stopped. I started hiking every weekend. Colorado has 58 peaks over 14,000 feet. They call them 14ers. And I made it my mission to summit as many as possible. There's something about hiking at altitude that clarifies everything. The thin air forces you to slow down, to focus on each breath, each step. You can't think about relationship drama when you're at 13,000 feet and your lungs are burning. You're just trying to survive and keep moving forward. Good metaphor for life, really. I made new friends through the hiking group I joined. People who knew me as Blake the architect, not Blake the abandoned fiancé. People who didn't know about Vanessa or Tyler or any of the drama. They knew me as the guy who always brought good trail snacks and could identify rock formations. Clean slate. Fresh start. The work was challenging in the best possible way. I was leading the design on a massive mixed-use development that would combine residential, commercial, and green space in a way that minimized environmental impact, the kind of project I'd dreamed about working on since architecture school. My old firm had been competent but conventional. This new place was pushing boundaries, trying new things, actually innovating instead of just copying what had worked before. I didn't check Vanessa's social media. I blocked her number and her email. Clean break, complete severance. I told Kevin he could give me updates if there was something truly important. But otherwise, I didn't want to know. Didn't want to hear about her life, her struggles, her choices. She'd made her decision. I'd made mine. Both of us had to live with the consequences. The first update came about a month after I moved. Kevin's text was brief. Tyler dumped her. Thought you should know. I stared at the message for a long moment. Tried to find some satisfaction in it. Some vindication. All I felt was a mild curiosity, like hearing about a stranger's bad day. I texted back, thanks for letting me know. That was it. No follow-up questions. No request for details. Just acknowledgement of information received. Kevin called me 5 minutes later. Me 5 minutes. Dude, that's all you're going to say? The guy dumped her after a month. 1 month. She blew up your entire life for a guy who dumped her after 30 days. And don't you feel vindicated, justified, something? Kevin, I moved on. What she does now, what happens to her, who hurts her, it's not my story anymore. It's hers. There was a long pause. That's cold, man. No, it's healthy. Cold would be enjoying her suffering. I just don't care enough to feel anything about it. But Kevin kept updating me anyway. Couldn't help himself. Apparently, Tyler had never intended anything serious. He was just bored. Reached out to his ex for fun. Enjoyed the ego boost of stealing her from her fiancé. Once the novelty wore off, and once he realized Vanessa was looking for something serious and permanent, he bailed. Told her he needed to find himself, or some other cliché excuse. Vanessa spiraled. Lost her job. Couldn't focus, kept calling in sick, got fired for poor performance. Moved back in with her mother. Started sending me texts from new numbers when I blocked the old ones. The texts followed a predictable pattern. First came denial. This is all a huge mistake. We need to talk. Please respond. Then anger. You're a coward for running away. A real man would have fought for our relationship. Then bargaining. If you just give me another chance, I can prove to you that we belong together. I was confused. I made a mistake. Then depression. My life is falling apart. I've lost everything. Please just talk to me. I didn't respond to any of them. What was there to say? She'd made her choice based on passion and intensity and feeling alive. Now she was experiencing the consequences of that choice. Those consequences weren't my responsibility to fix. The texts kept coming, though, sometimes daily, sometimes 3 times a day. I'd block each new number as it appeared, but she'd find another way. Borrowed phones from friends called from work. Used online texting services. 2 months after I moved, Patricia called my cell. I almost didn't answer, but a cold curiosity got the better of me. Blake, it's Patricia. Her tone was the same as always. Sharp, imperious, assuming compliance. Hello, Patricia. What can I do for you? She ignored the formal greeting. We need to talk about Vanessa. She's in a very bad way. That animal she left you for has destroyed her. She's not eating. She's not sleeping. She's a shadow of herself. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, my voice flat and devoid of any actual sorrow. Aren't you going to do something about it? She demanded, her voice rising. You loved her once. A real man would show some compassion. She made a mistake. People make mistakes, Blake. Don't you still care about her at all? This was the crucial moment the trap was set. Agree, and I'd be pulled back into the drama. Get angry, and I'd be proving I still cared. I chose a third option, the truth. Patricia, I said, my voice calm and measured. Vanessa didn't make a mistake. She made a conscious, sustained choice to betray me 2 weeks before our wedding. The person you're describing, the one who is not eating or sleeping, is dealing with the direct consequences of that choice. Her well-being is no longer my concern. It hasn't been for a long time. I hope she gets the help she needs, but it won't be from me. Goodbye. I hung up on her sputtering protests. That, I knew, would be the final straw for Vanessa. The calm, unassailable logic was a weapon she couldn't fight. It denied her the emotional explosion she needed to feel validated. It took less than 24 hours for the mask to fully slip. A final text blazed onto my screen from yet another unknown number. You are a cold, heartless person. You never really loved me, or you would have fought for me. You just gave up and ran away. You're a coward. I'm glad I didn't marry you. There it was. The true colors blazing with bitter, hypocritical fire. She had rewritten history entirely in her mind. I was the villain for not begging her to stay after she told me she loved another man. I was the coward for not fighting for a relationship she had already destroyed. I didn't block the number. I simply deleted the message. She had finally shown the last card in her hand, and it was worthless. She had no power left. Life in Denver was good. Really good. The kind of good that makes you realize how unhappy you'd been before without knowing it. Work was challenging in the best way. I was leading the design on a net zero office building that would be one of the most sustainable structures in the state. The project consumed my days in the most satisfying way possible. Pure problem solving, creative thinking, building something that would last. I joined a hiking group and started tackling 14ers on weekends. There's something clarifying about standing on a mountain peak at 14,000 feet, the world spread out below you, your lungs burning with thin air, your legs shaking from exertion. You're reminded of what actually matters. And your ex-fiancée's drama doesn't make the list. I dated casually, nothing serious, nothing heavy, a few dinners here, a concert there. It felt good to remember I was a person capable of being wanted, not just someone who'd been discarded. The months rolled by. Fall turned to winter. I learned to ski. Winter turned to spring. I bought a road bike and started cycling the mountain passes. Spring turned to summer. I got promoted to senior design lead. A full year after signing the house transfer papers, my new firm sent me back to my old city for a major client presentation. It was my first time back. The city felt smaller somehow, like a suit I'd outgrown. The presentation was a success. Afterward, as I was packing my laptop, my phone vibrated. It was my lawyer from the house sale. The final paperwork, some tax document we'd missed, was ready for my signature. I could sign it electronically, or I could stop by his office, which was just a few blocks away. Before my flight, I chose to stop by. I wanted every last thread severed. As I walked out of the sleek high-rise, document in hand, I felt a sense of profound closure. The chapter was officially, legally over. I decided to grab one last coffee from the place Vanessa and I used to go on Sundays. Not for nostalgia, but as a kind of exorcism, one final ghost to banish. I was standing at the counter, waiting for my order, when I felt a presence behind me. A familiar scent of coconut and vanilla, now soured by a note of stale cigarettes. Blake? I turned. It was Vanessa. She looked worn. Her clothes were trendy but cheap, fast fashion imitations of her old style. Her eyes had a frantic, hungry look, and there were new fine lines around her mouth. The vibrant woman I'd proposed to was gone, replaced by someone harder, more desperate. Vanessa, I said, my voice neutral, as if acknowledging an acquaintance. I can't believe it's you. She clutched her purse strap like a lifeline. My mom said you were in town for work. I was hoping I'd run into you. I doubted that was a coincidence. Well, here we are. Can we talk? Just for a minute, please? The plea in her voice was raw. I looked at my watch. My flight wasn't for 3 hours. I felt no anxiety, no anger, just a weary desire to complete this final piece of business. All right, 5 minutes. We took a small table in the corner. She clutched her latte with both hands, as if for warmth. You look good, she said, her eyes scanning me. I was wearing a well-tailored suit. I was tanned from weekend hikes. My posture was no longer that of a man carrying the weight of a failing relationship. I looked like what I was, successful and at peace. Thank you, I said. You wanted to talk? The dam broke. It was a rehearsed monologue, full of the self-pity I'd heard in her voicemails and texts. My life is a mess, Blake, a complete mess. I lost my job. I'm waiting tables now. Tyler was a con artist. He maxed out my credit cards before he left. I'm living with my mom and it's humiliating. I see our friends sometimes, and they look at me with such pity. She looked at me, her eyes begging. I lost everything. My job, my friends, my home. You were my real life, Blake. I was an idiot. A scared, stupid idiot. She reached across the table like she was going to take my hand. I pulled back slightly. We can start over, can't we? Her voice cracked. We can get back what we had. I took a slow sip of my black coffee. I let her words hang in the air. Let her see that they had no effect on me whatsoever. Vanessa, I said, my voice calm and firm, like a teacher explaining a simple concept to a slow student. What we had is a memory, and not a particularly good one. Her face crumpled. You see, you didn't just break my heart 2 weeks before our wedding. You showed me that the woman I loved was a fiction. The real you was capable of a cruelty and a selfishness I couldn't have imagined. She opened her mouth to protest, but I held up a hand, not harshly, but with definitive finality. And for that, I continued, I'm actually grateful. It forced me to build a life I truly love. A life that isn't built on the shaky foundation of someone else's whims. I don't hate you. I don't wish you ill. But I also don't think about you. You're a closed file. A lesson learned. Tears of frustration now, not sadness, welled in her eyes. So that's it? After everything, you're just going to be this cold, unfeeling robot? I almost smiled. No, I feel plenty. I feel the sun on my face when I hike. I feel the satisfaction of a project well built. I feel excitement for my future. I've just chosen to stop feeling anything for you. It was a choice that improved my life immeasurably. I stood up, pulling my carry-on bag over my shoulder. I placed a $10 bill on the table for my coffee. I have a plane to catch. I hope you find what you're looking for, Vanessa, but it won't be with me. Goodbye. I turned and walked out of the cafe, leaving her sitting there. Small and defeated, I didn't look back. 6 months after that coffee shop encounter, Kevin called me with one final update. I'd asked him to stop, but he said this one was important. She's engaged, he said. Good for her. To some guy who manages a call center. They've known each other 3 months. I was silent for a moment, processing. Then I laughed. Not cruelly, but with genuine amusement at the pattern. She's looking for safe and stable again, I said. The passion burned her. Now she wants comfortable. I hope it works out for her. That's really it? That's all you've got? Kevin, brother, I mean this with all sincerity. I haven't thought about her in months. My life is exactly where I want it to be. What she does now is as relevant to me as what a stranger does. I wish her well, but from a great distance. There was a pause. You really have moved on, haven't you? Completely. That was the last update I received. Kevin finally accepted that I genuinely didn't care anymore. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.